Welcome back to Real Talk right here on OG Sports TV. This week we're talking about the Patriots spending spree and free agency, how this relates to their future, and how it relates to their past and what was known as the Patriot Way. Like if you like, subscribe if you're new. Let's get right into it. All right, I've been sitting on this Patriots idea for a little while now, and because of life reasons and all this, and other things happening in the NFL world, it didn't come out for a little while because of other things. But now with them spending big in free agency, it can't wait any longer. My window is actually already passed for the things that I want to talk about, and now I can't look smart anymore, which is unfortunate. But the whole thing that I wanted to talk about was the quote end of the Patriot Way. What is the Patriot Way? For a long time, the Patriots were always, it was Brady and Belichick, and that was the Patriots, and then all the other pieces would kind of just fall into place. It almost didn't matter what it was. They could get by on paying sometimes no name guys or guys where their value is down, and they don't pay a whole lot of players a whole lot of money. You never used to see them shelling out for players. You never used to see them hitting the home run trade or anything like that, or paying the big free agent. That's changed now, and if you've been paying attention to the free agent period so far, the Patriots have shelled out. So let's go over, before we get into the Patriot Way stuff, let's go over some of the moves that they've made this offseason. One, they re-signed Cam. That wasn't a big money thing, but I think that was really important for them staying competitive this year. And we all know right now it's a Bills division. That happened more quickly than anything other division power switch I can imagine. But it's the Bills division, so the Patriots are trying to just stay relevant because Miami looks good. The Jets are going for a hard reset. Who knows what's going to happen with them and their new head coach. But the Patriots can't fall into this pit of mediocrity. They can't do it. So this is what they do. They re-signed Cam 1 year, $5 million, and this is where it gets interesting. They signed two of the top tight ends in free agency, Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, and they shelled out. They gave Jonnu Smith 4 years and $50 million, and Hunter Henry 3 years and $37.5 million. Now, this is really interesting because if you think of those old Patriots teams that really ran a lot of 12 personnel, which is one running back and two tight ends, with Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, who we won't speak of, those teams are really dynamic. And with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, there's a path back to that. And then they signed the off-ball linebacker Matt Judon from Baltimore, 4 years, $56 million. And then two wide receivers, one of which I like more than the other. They signed Kendrick Bourne, who was with the San Francisco 49ers, 3 years, $22.5 million. I think that's really interesting because I think there was some crazy stat. It was like 100 out of his 130 career catches were for first downs or touchdowns, which is absolutely insane. Just insane efficiency. And the other one that I don't love as much is Nelson Aguilar. I feel like they paid too much for him. They gave him 2 years, $26 million. I don't know, man. He was not great for Philadelphia, and he went to the Raiders on a 1 year kind of prove it deal, and he really excelled for them as a field stretcher, which could help the Patriots offense. But I feel like you can get that type of player without paying Nelson Aguilar what you paid him. You can get that player, but it doesn't have to be this exact player. And does that make sense? Like, let me know in the comments what you think about that. I didn't love that signing, but who knows? It's the Patriots. They find ways to make things work. And the last notable one that I wanted to talk about was defensive back Jalen Mills, another former Eagle. 4 years, $24 million. Meh. Well, we don't have to talk about that too much. It's a meh signing, but maybe it'll help them. But going back to the stuff that I wanted to talk about, this all started back in February, the beginning of February, and Danny Amendola appeared on the Fox Sports show. First things first, he said, Tom Brady was always the Patriot Way. He is what made the Patriots what they were. This is not as a slight on Bill Belichick, who's obviously one of the greatest coaches of all time, but people who played for New England, they wanted to play for Tom Brady. And you can see that in his last run in Tampa. All these guys want to play for Tom Brady. All these guys re-signing in Tampa for less money than they could receive from other teams. They want to run it back with Tom Brady. He is the GOAT. He has that influence. He's the greatest locker room guy you can imagine. People want to play for him, which is why they got away with not paying guys in New England for 20 years. So now going into this offseason, you don't have Tom Brady, so you don't have that allure to bring people to your team on for less money. So think about it. They didn't pay guys, and now they aren't winning anymore. Any player under the old Patriot Way is expendable other than Brady. So why would anyone want to play there? When Matt Stafford got traded, the rumor came out that he told the Lions, trade me anywhere but New England. That is damning. That is an absolutely damning rumor if you're the Patriots. Even if it's not true, the fact that that could come out, it just shows you like what the reputation that they have in the NFL now. Like players don't want to go there because they feel like they aren't valued. And what's the plan there? So now with these sort of free agent period, we can kind of see what the plan is. It's a dramatic overcorrection from everything they've done in the last 20 years. They're paying guys now. They shelled out for the top 2 tight ends of free agency. They didn't have to do that. They re-signed their quarterback when they could have done a little rebuild process with Jarrett Stidham, or they could still draft a guy. Who knows if they'll do that? But you can see what Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl in his first year not with you did to the Patriots. They need to get they in their head they need to get back to relevancy now. And listen, they never should have let him go. There's a value in having a great player like that belong to you. Think of Derek Jeter with the Yankees. Derek Jeter is the Yankees. He will always be known as the Yankees, and he will always be known. He's synonymous with that franchise. It could have been that with Tom Brady, but they messed up at the end and they let him go. And it's a terrible look that he went and won with them right away. And now that tarnishes the Tom and Bill relationship, the Tom and Bill legacy, because now the narrative is that their success was always more Tom Brady than it was Bill Belichick, and rather than it being a 100% symbiotic relationship. And going into this offseason, the reason that they were so bad last year was not because Cam was bad. Cam had his battle with COVID, and he came back and he wasn't great at the beginning, and then he kind of picked it up near the end of the season, but by then the narrative was out. The roster was absolutely devoid of talent. They had no players, and they had no plan. I think that everything that the Patriots have done this offseason shows you that they are stepping away from the Patriots that we've known in the past. They have to completely change their identity now because Tom Brady's no longer with them. They're essentially calling an end to the Patriot Way. And I think that's for the best. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit the like button if you like, subscribe if you're new. And I'll be back next week with another video. Shout out to all my OGs out there. Remember, be kind to someone today.